The alarm rang at exactly 5:30 a.m. In the darkness of a quiet apartment, Daniel slowly opened his eyes. For a brief moment, he imagined a different version of himself. He pictured an early morning run beneath the sunrise, a clean room, hours of focused work, a healthier body, a calmer mind. For a few seconds, the future felt possible. Then his hand reached toward the alarm. He pressed snooze. 9 minutes later, he did it again. By the time Daniel finally climbed out of bed, the person he had imagined only moments earlier had already disappeared. The narrator's voice broke the silence. Most people don't lose their dreams during life's biggest moments. A brief pause followed. They lose them through ordinary decisions repeated every single day. Daniel wasn't an unmotivated person. His shelves were filled with books about discipline and productivity. His laptop contained countless bookmarked videos promising better habits and greater success. His notebook overflowed with carefully written goals and detailed plans. He understood habits. He understood dopamine. He understood delayed gratification. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Yet every night ended the same way. "I'll start tomorrow," he whispered to himself. Days slowly blended into one another. Daniel continued searching for another video, another book, another system. Each one gave him temporary hope. But when excitement faded, his actions disappeared with it. One rainy evening, Daniel sat quietly beside his apartment window. Outside, headlights reflected across wet streets while strangers hurried through the rain. Inside, another motivational video played on his laptop. Halfway through it, Daniel quietly closed the screen. Silence filled the room. No music, no scrolling, no distractions. For the first time in weeks, he was alone with his own thoughts. The memories arrived one after another. Projects left unfinished, promises broken, ideas abandoned, opportunities wasted because he kept waiting for the perfect moment. His chest tightened. Softly, he whispered, "Why do I keep doing this?" The room offered no answer, only silence. Then another thought entered his mind. What if I don't actually have a motivation problem? The question followed him everywhere. Over the following days, Daniel began noticing something he had ignored for years. At the gym, people skipped difficult exercise as the moment discomfort appeared. At work, co-workers postponed important tasks because they weren't in the mood. Online, creators disappeared as soon as progress slowed. Everywhere he looked, people seemed to follow their emotions, including him. One afternoon, Daniel stopped inside a small convenience store. As he waited in line, someone caught his attention. A construction worker stood a few feet ahead. His clothes were dusty. His boots were worn. His shoulders looked exhausted after a long day of labor. Yet instead of staring at his phone, the man quietly opened a small notebook. Page after page was filled with handwritten notes. He studied them with complete focus. No excitement, no visible motivation, just consistency. Daniel couldn't stop watching. The narrator spoke quietly. Emotion asks how you feel today. A pause. Discipline remembers what you promised yesterday. Something shifted inside Daniel. For years, he had believed disciplined people simply felt more motivated than everyone else. Standing there, he realized the opposite was true. They simply refused to let emotions make their decisions. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Rain continued falling outside his apartment window. Inside, he sat on the floor beside his bed, staring into the darkness. He replayed years of his life inside his mind. Every decision had depended on emotion. If he felt motivated, he worked. If he felt tired, he stopped. If he felt uncertain, he delayed. His emotions had quietly become the leader of his life. At exactly 2:17 a.m., Daniel walked into the bathroom. He stood motionless before the mirror. His reflection looked exhausted, not because life had defeated him, because he had spent years negotiating with temporary feelings. After several long seconds, he finally spoke. "I don't trust myself anymore." The words echoed through the silent apartment. They hurt because they were true. The narrator's voice softened. The greatest cost of broken discipline isn't failure. A pause. It's losing confidence in your own word. Morning arrived. Nothing extraordinary happened. No emotional breakthrough. No surge of motivation. Daniel still felt tired. He still wanted to stay in bed. But this time, he stood up anyway, not because he felt ready, because he had decided. He made his bed, drank a glass of water, read 10 pages of book, worked for 30 uninterrupted minutes, went for a short morning run. Every action felt small, almost ordinary, yet psychologically, everything had changed. Each action became proof that his decisions no longer depended on his emotions. Days passed, then weeks, then months. There were mornings he wanted to quit, evenings when doubt returned, days when progress felt invisible. But every time he stumbled, he returned. Every time emotion argued, he continued. Slowly, something inside him began rebuilding, not motivation. Trust that he would keep his own promises. People eventually noticed the difference. Daniel spoke less, complained less, worked more. He no longer chased motivation. He protected discipline. One afternoon, an old friend finally asked, "How are you so consistent now?" Daniel smiled gently. He looked out the window before answering. "I stopped asking my emotions for permission." His friend laughed softly, assuming it was another thoughtful quote. But Daniel wasn't trying to sound wise. He was simply telling the truth. The narrator delivered one final reflection. Motivation is temporary. Emotion is unpredictable. But discipline is a decision. And the moment your actions stop depending on your feelings, your future finally becomes your own. Outside, the rain slowly came to an end. Sunlight broke through the clouds. Daniel stood quietly beside the window, watching the city begin another ordinary day. The world hadn't changed. He had. And that quiet transformation was more powerful than motivation had ever been.